Alright you guys, when last we were together I was removing the Fender. Now I'm going to reinstall the new one. Again, 2004 Saturn VUE project. This should be the same for 2002 to 2005. Similar 2006, 2007, but they did do a front fascia retrofit, so I don't know how that affected the fenders. But yeah, we're going to do a reinstall here. This is the new guy. You'll notice no scratches on the front. So, and I put my old emblem back on because it was in better shape than the one that was on the car. Only other thing I'm going to have to change over is this rubber piece because it appears part of it is missing on this one. Now, I had mentioned swapping the emblem last time. It was a 10 millimeter and I couldn't get this to push out. There's not any adhesive, you just kind of have to get behind it and work it. It's a little bit tight, so I used a plastic panel puller and just kind of gently worked it around and pushed from the back side, and it eventually came loose. But you just want to push it back in the hole, and then you will get your 10 millimeter and run that nut back down. So I'm going to do that right now. Now you'll notice these are stamped nuts. They cut their own threads. All right, buddy. Play nice. There we go. So you'll just very gently work this back down. Gentle, gentle, as always. Plastic panels and all. Just you feel it snug up so it doesn't strip. That's all there is to that. All right, let me stand back up. Now, if you remember from last time, the big thing that we wanted to pay attention to is the little tabs that went into those slots that are on your rocker. Hate those noises. Without a, whoops, buddy here helping me, it's going to be a little bit more interesting. But you've got a tab here and a tab here that correspond with said slots. So let me get my lights on so that hopefully I can illuminate everything as we go along. I've moved the foam piece that normally sits here up out of the way. Try to get y'all close so you can see what's going on there. Let me see if I put this light there. Yeah, that'll give you guys decent light. Now I'm just going to put the fender up into position. Let's see. Whoops. You see those working their way in there. Slide. There we go. Okay. So there you go. Apparently that's how you do that. Learn as we go. Learn as we go. Sorry, I had to reposition. I got no helpers today, so. Now, release that foam piece back down. And you're going to want to very gently work this into place. Remember when we pulled these off, you had to kind of lift to get them over the little lumps. So, again, lift. Be careful not to hit here because you're going to want to go under. Slide, gentle lift up over these retainers here. Okay. That went back together much easier than it came apart because that was our big worry. There, had to slide that a little bit forward to line it up. Again, coming off different vehicles, all these things are going to have to be tweaked ever so slightly. Looks like this may actually slide inside, so once I get the, get your nail, tool, whatever, stick it down in there, you can reposition that to adjust your fender gap. All right. But I'm going to go ahead and put these top retainers in real quick so that nothing falls. and I'll be back with you. Remember, these are the little guys that had the little washers with them. So I'm not going to run them down far, actually. Let's see. Yeah, that one was that one. There was an additional piece that had broke off on it, so I wanted to be sure I got it back. See, that little piece there was down in the hole. So I'm going to run him back on. Of course, nothing wants to behave. Get you guys in here so you can see what was going on. As things are moving around, this became misaligned. So you're going to want to get a little alignment tool and move stuff around to align it, just to let y'all know. See, all of them became disjointed, except for that guy. So I'll probably run him in first and run that guy in first and then play with the others. So just to give y'all a indication of some of the things you're going to run into. Okay, I had to pull the fender off slightly and readjust these. So now, as you can see, they're actually lining up. And remember that little pin I mentioned on the bumper, being careful with it? This one was already broken off. That's why I didn't realize that when we were working together. That one's gone, so that's why I didn't have an issue with it. So that being said, that car had probably been apart before and somebody had broke it, so that's why that was easy, and probably those pieces were broke on that car. That would be my guess. All right, sorry, let me put those in, get those bolts started. Okay, running these guys in, and you'll have a little bit of panel adjustment too in front and back, and so you just kind of want to play with it to get it to where it looks right and is pushed back enough. And then you're going to want to run these in. Now, one thing, just do everybody lightly as you go. And you kind of have it positioned, check your gap. See, I've got a slight catch there. Now that is because of this cladding, but I'm going to have to play with that. So be mindful of those things as you are reinstalling. I'm going to go check the other side and see how far that gap is to determine if that's part of the reason why we're binding down there. All right, I'm actually good here. I don't have any more binding. What it was, I went down here and looked, and that little one hadn't completely seated, so it was causing it to gap out slightly. Yeah, I've already had to trim that up a little bit. All that was, there are some rough bits to these panels, but they're not as bad as my other one, and they had those pieces on the bottom, which the other ones did not. So, and I know it looks like the paint doesn't match. That's because this is oxidized. Once I buff it out, and because they did match at the junkyard, and every panel as I've installed it, I've buffed it out, and it has come true to match. So let me go ahead and tighten those up now that I know I've got this gap correct and that I don't have any binding. I'll tighten everybody down. Just note on these front ones, you may not know till we reinstall the bumper how this one is. You may have to loosen this slightly to adjust the play in this area, because this does have another one of those weird little capture nuts that attaches to the body that moves around. So we'll play with that once we reinstall the bumper. Just note that, again, once the bumper goes on, that may be something you'll have to address. Maybe perfect, I don't know, we'll see. But last bit, now that everything's tightened up, we want to reinstall this piece. And remember, that's a T15 screw that we use that goes up there at the top. Okay, you'll see here, that's where our T15 goes. Now it's got these little catches on here, so be careful. One at the bottom, one up there at the top. And it goes in Oops. Sorry, I've got this camera on my neck, so. Goes in like so. You gotta kind of catch the body. There we go. Up, and then slide it down into position. And then run your screw back in. It's a little awkward to do while having a camera around your neck. Okay, that was our fastener up top. Now we're going to work on these lower fasteners. And this piece will give you a little bit of movement here, depending upon how you orient it. If you did have additional binding, you could work with these slots lining up to the corresponding hole in the body to probably give yourself a little bit more clearance at the bottom. So there is some adjustment there as well. And remember, we have to reinstall this bracket that should still be attached to the fender, but y'all remember that incident, me describing it. So yeah, let me go ahead and I'm gonna install these guys and I'll be right back. Okay, get them started with your hands. It was a little awkward, so I couldn't do it on camera. And again, check your clearance. Make sure you're not going to bind. All right. Once you know you're good, you can go ahead. And I found this guy is essential for getting in there and running these guys down. Make sure I have it oriented right here. Nope, other way. I hate the ones that don't have the flip on them. Yeah, that works great to run these in. So I'm going to finish doing that so you don't have to watch. Got them in. Made sure my foam piece is back. One last double check on alignment. Nothing's binding. Excellent. Good to go. Good to go. All right. Now, putting our splash guard back in is going to be our next step. I will not fully install the bracket. Almost forgot. All right. Let me get on that. Hang on. That's what happens when you get a little too excited. All right, this is our little guy. And that's where I have the piece broken on the bottom. But at least you know how to orient it. You're going to get, if it was on the car, it would already be attached and you would just line it up with those studs there. And then it sits like so. Now, I won't be able to fully attach this portion that aligns with the fender till I reinstall the bumper. And then this guy goes in this hole. So that'll be covered when I install the bumper. But these studs I can go ahead and run partially on. I'm not going to run them down fully until I get everything lined up with the front bumper. But I'm going to go ahead and get those guys started. Run about 80% of the way down. Okay, and the reason I said don't tighten them all the way down is this guy, you want to have a little bit of play here. He didn't completely align, so I've had to twist him and move him around a bit. Let's see, this gives me a little bit of maneuvering to be able to position him. See, now he's sitting flat. He was sitting all up here, cattywampus. But yeah, you like that technical term there. See how that lines up. What I'll probably do is I will probably run a self-tapping screw up through here to serve a replacement for where that was installed from the factory with a rivet. I'll just run it through there just to kind of give it a little bit of extra stiffness once I get the everything oriented with the bumper and make sure that it fits properly. But that is essentially what you would do to reinstall your fender. And of course, I took the bumper off because I don't really think you would be able to finagle it. You might be able to, but I wouldn't want to risk breaking things. As it is, like I said, somebody had been in here before and there were things that were broken on this car, probably because they didn't remove the bumper. So I don't want to make that mistake. But that essentially is the installation of a fender on a 2004, 2005 Saturn VUE. Hopefully it translates to the other years as well. But there you go, guys. Hey you guys, working on the Saturn yet again, 2004 Saturn VUE project. Of course we have to reinstall the bumper. I had taken it off during our last venture to remove and reinstall the fender. Now, some of y'all will say, hey, the fender video, you didn't finish. Well, I didn't finish because I had to install the bumper. I didn't think reinstalling the splash guard, the fender liner would make sense because it would be in my way to install the bumper. So just consider this a part two. So yeah, so we will get that together once we're done installing the bumper. Just to do an overview with you guys of what you're looking at as far as fasteners. At the back bottom, you'll see this far back portion, it's laying down on its face. There were the 3 that were tucked up under, and then you've got your 2 that are tucked in around the crash bar area that I didn't know about because it wasn't covered in the other video. I did notice I have a little damage right here I'm going to have to deal with, but that's just this little guard that's on there anyway, so no big worries. You've got your 2 pins that will line up in the fender areas on either side. Then across the top, you have the 2 in the center, and then the 2 that correspond with your marker lights on either side. Those are your push pins. Remember, you've got your, if you have the auxiliary lights, those will have to be plugged in as well. On the bumper, this is where those long bolts go that tie in through the fender, here and here. And of course, we're going to have to weave all these fun little tabs in solo with nobody to help. And then we've got our top bolts that would go in here that go through the fender and the bumper. And this push pin, remember, goes with the side marker light that ties in with these. So it's kind of a layered thing, not really complicated, but a bunch of pieces all put together. So anyway, you guys, I just wanted to do that overview before I moved into position to start putting it together. I'll kind of show you the fasteners as we go, but I just wanted to give you that overview. All right, you guys, let me get you set up. Little extra stuff I figured I'd show you while I'm doing it. I'm changing out the front emblem. This is how you do it. Now's the time to do it. This one just pushes out real simple. You see how gnarly the chrome was on that. So fortunately, the junkyard VUE had a nice one. So this is our new one, ish, new used one. And this is literally how simple it is to reinstall. Easy peasy. So that's it. That's how you swap those out. I know I didn't go over it real well with the fender, so I figured now would be a good time to do that. All right. All right, you guys, here we go. Don't judge my appearance, all right? I am dressed for working in the garage, not for a fashion show. So, slip it in place here. Kind of do the reverse. How we put it all together. Shimmy, shimmy. Trying to watch these tabs as I do this. And remember, as long as you don't have a broken fender, you've got a little pin right there. So watch that pin. So here we go. Remember to line all these guys up. Alright. Now, before you go shoving and pushing, make sure you plug in those auxiliary lights. Don't want to forget them. You have to tear stuff apart after the fact. show you, just in case you wondered how that intake fits in there. Perfect. Worked out great. All right. Yeah, I have another video on that, so. All right. I'm just going to kind of work it side to side, and I'm going to be careful of the pin on this side that I still have, so I don't break anything. Okay, I've slid it over the pin here, so that way the bumper's not going to fall off. And again, I don't have a pin over here because it was already broken off that fender. But there we go. Everybody's lined up. All right. So, rather than deal with all the boring stuff, I'm just going to show you quickly where all the push pins are. I'm going to start reinstalling them just to keep that bumper in place, and then we'll get up under the bumper area and start reinstalling. Sorry, I'm just checking all the fitment of everything. You can see a little bit of a color difference there. Again, hoping when I buff it, it will disappear. Because again, this is my factory fender to the other car's body. Perfect. So I have high hopes that once I buff it, see, all this gets real ashy looking. But that is where we are. See, we've got everything lined up. You're going to want to install these two pins. We're going to wait on the marker lights because we're going to install those after we install the headlights to make life easier. We're also going to install the push pins, these two that are up under here. If I can get you under there with the camera mount, and over there, and then those other three are actually up. Get my light where you can see up here. See, right there. And then there's the three. Boom, 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 all the way down. Boom, boom, and boom. So I'm going to install all of those, and then I'll check back in with you. Okay, I've got those push pins in. What I'm moving on to now is reinstalling these fenders, fender bolt. Got one on one side, one on the other. So I'm going to do that. Yes, you can install those. They have no interference with the side markers. And remember, those have these little washers. I think it used to be one solid washer, but it's split. So don't lose those. Remember to reinstall them. Okay, remember, when installing push pins, I've got that guy in, I've got that guy in, but I figured it bears repeating. Remember, that's how it goes. Piece pushes in, expands the legs, locks it in tight. So, to install, easiest thing to do, line up your hole, push it in, take your pin. Remember, it's got a little keyhole that lines up with the way that the hole is made in that kind of rounded rectangular shape. That's it. That's how your push pins work. So just thought I'd remind you of that. Okay, going to reinstall the bulbs in our headlights. I put in new switchback style for this outer one. Hopefully this is, there we go. Well, it kind of locks in there. This one just plugs in. Hopefully y'all can see. Yeah. Okay. And then this guy, I hid him away to keep him safe. I'm gonna flip him around in all his wiring, so there. Is that? Yeah, okay. All right. Now, when you're installing, remember it's got that little clip down in, that clip down in that arm goes into. Mine wasn't locked in place, and then you are lining up with the 2 top bolts. And this is actually your peephole. Ooh, maybe you can see. Let me get the light. See how that fits down in there, that little leg, maybe. There you go. Okay. Sorry, my earpiece fell out. I was trying to use my Bluetooth, hoping that it would give you guys better sound. Not 100% sure if it is or not, but worth a try. All right, they're 10 millimeters for the headlights. Again, you see how I have my hand up top, and I'm just using a 1/4 inch. These do not have to be super tight. Just enough is good. Okay, let me get the side markers. All right, repositioned, y'all. Now, as you're putting things together, I didn't say that. Make sure you put your corner marker light bulb out through the side. Gonna want to reinstall him. Okay, he goes like so. Remember these funky little tabs that line up. You go from the top and push down, gentle. Make sure the wiring doesn't get all pinched up. Then you're going to install your pin base and then your pin itself. Okay, I'm going to go repeat all that on the other side. Be right back. Now before you go too far, check your lights. You see one of my switchbacks apparently reverse polarity, so I'm going to pull him out and swap him around. But I just wanted to mention that before you get too far. Check your bulbs as you're going. And you can see the switchback works pretty nice. Go from the clear to the orange amber. Okay, your last little bits on your bumper here. Let's see if this light will hang for you guys' benefit. There we go. Well, it did. Sorry, I felt a sneeze coming. Okay, you've got your little press nut there. Remember, I left this loose so that I could line everything up. So I want to line him up. He's 10 millimeter. There you go. Get him started, like I say, always by hand. Gentle is always better with these guys. Let me see how long this dang thing is. This is why I recommend taking the fender liner out so you're not here all day. I'll finish putting him in. Finally, it felt like 5 minutes went by. Okay, well, that was a little dramatic repositioning. More dramatic than I meant to. But now I just got to tighten those 2 guys down. So I'm going to tighten them up and be right back. Now you can see them. Normally, y'all wouldn't be fooling with this with a bumper, but I just wanted to loop it in because it's part of the Fender reinstall. Again, since I had issues with this bracket, I didn't tighten those all the way up until I knew that the fitment was good. So just a little explanation there. On to the fender liner. On this guy, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, a dozen. That lines up with what I had said before. I will have 2 less than you guys because I've got the mud flap, but in the front, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 up top, 6 here towards the back, and then in the back area, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So it's kind of a mirror of itself, but unlike the rear, there's nothing to really lock in. You just kind of slip this portion up, and then, whoops, it sits on top and kind of holds it. So this is actually up in the lip, and these are on the outside. So you just grab. bottom pin while it tries to fall on your head and attempt to find a hole. Whatever's easiest. Saw it and moved. Alright, and just catch one. And then figure out how to catch the other one if you can find it. Yeah, okay. I'm going to catch one of these on the fender instead. There we go. And there. Okay, light's not very nice. So I'm going to be putting all these guys in, but y'all don't need to sit here and watch me fumble with that, but that gives you the idea. 12 push pins, for me 10. Never a good way to position y'all for this but a flat portion of the evening. But there we go. Line them up as best you can. Easy does it. And then we've got our one underneath, like in the rear. Right here. Mud flat done. All right. That wraps up that fender install. Oh, screwdriver, messing up the thing. All right. Now I'm going to go around to the other side, button things up. Remember, we had to take apart just this lower section. So I have to run this bolt in, which is going to take forever because of this little room and the tire being in the way. I'm not putting that on film, so I'll be right back. I'm serious. Take the stupid fender liner out. That is a pain in the butt. All right, y'all, it is done. Finally. Hi. There. Fender liner installed. Fender liner installed on the other side. Whole bumper put back together. Yay. Everything's lining up. Gaps are good. Door open and closes. No catches. Everything's golden. All right, y'all. That wraps the bumper reinstallation and buttoning up of the fender install on 2004 Saturn VUE. And yes, you see the intake there. Yay, I did that too. Yep, and installed horns. More horns, so it's louder. Yay me, I'll have a video. Take care, y'all.